Hello and welcome to another C# video programming tutorial challenge. So what we're going to ask you to do, and you can do slightly different things than this, but what I've chosen to do is getting the computer to generate 5 different random numbers between 1 and 100, so squaring random numbers, and it prints out the original 5 random numbers between 1 and 100, and this is the value of random number 1 is 97, and 41, 1, 46, and 71. Then it says the square values are, the square value of random number 1 is this. And what I want you to do is I want you to have a main method, and I want you to have a method to generate random numbers into an array, generate random numbers in a separate method or separate function, a separate function to generate square values of the number that you got to get from that one, and then the main method has to call them. So there's probably a multitude of ways to do this. So I would like you at this point to take the challenge and try this for at least 15 minutes before you come back to my video and check my solution. All right, let's have a look at it again. We'll just run it again to see it one more time. So it generates random numbers, 1489, and then it squares 14, squares 89, squares 31, squares 98, and squares 57. So the numbers have to be between 1 and 100, and then you square those same numbers. All right, the first thing we should do when we're looking at our solution is let's not worry about the main method for now. Let's first go straight down here to populate. I've got a separate method that is a void method, so it does not have a return type, and it says public static void populate, so that's the name of this method, and then it's got parentheses with int square bracket incoming array. So whatever array is coming in from the main method. So when we call it in the main method, we'll use the array that is being called. Inside the curly brackets, we've got a random number generator. So we've done this before. So we're calling the random class, and we're calling it number generator, so you could have called it anything different, equals new random bracket semicolon. Then we're going to run a for loop where it says for int I is equal to 0 and I is less than incoming array dot length. So this will work for whatever length it is. And then semicolon, and then we're going to increment it up by 1 every time the for loop runs. Then inside the for loop, we've got incoming array, square bracket with I in the middle equals next generator dot next. And then this is important, this is the first number that gets used. And remember, this one is inclusive, this one is exclusive, so you can only use up to 100 here. You can't use 101. And so that is my populate function. Then I did a square random function. And again, we used int incoming array, so whatever array is being called down there in the main method. We've got curly brackets for the main array, curly brackets for the square random, and we've run a for loop. And the for loop is exactly the same, except inside we are going to say incoming array I times equals incoming array. So that's the same thing as saying incoming array I is equal to incoming array I times incoming array I. So this is just the shortened method. All right, back up to the main method. So in the main method, we have to first establish an array, which is an integer called random roll or random number or something like that, equals new int square bracket with a 5 in the middle, because we're going to do it 5 times. Then console.writeLine, and so this is the part where I just do a little bit of introducing what we're doing. So that's all pretty simple stuff for you. And here is where we are going to call the method that we ran down here, populate. And we are going to call it with this array. So random roll. So populate random roll, and then it's going to know it's a 5. And then we're going to generate for int I is equal to 0, I is less than random roll.length, I++. Then we've got console.writeLine, the value of the random number, I plus 1, because the first one is a 0, so we wanted to call it random number 1 is, and then we used random roll I. And then we left a blank line, and then we're going to call our square random function that we ran down here, leaving a blank line. The square values are, and we run a for loop again. So int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I++, console.writeLine, parentheses, the square value of the random, so we've got a string here, then we've got I plus 1, and another string is, and then random roll I, and another string for the period. And that is how you use 2 separate functions which get called by the main method to work with arrays and for loops. Thanks for watching.